Hey, welcome back to Fishing with Uncle Dave. This time we're going up to a Chetek chain of lakes. We're going back to a familiar spot, Lakeview Resort. Say shout out to Brock and his family up there. We stayed there for a week right before Memorial Day. Hey, stop by one of the local businesses there in town, pick you up one of these lakes. They are very, very handy to have one of these little maps. You can see where all the different resorts are and everything, and it really helps you out on where you're at and what you're doing. All right, so welcome back, like I said, to Chetek, Wisconsin. We're on the Chetek chain. We're fishing Prairie Lake and mostly in Chetek Lake. All right, while you're in town, sign up to win. You catch a tag fish, you can win some money. They'll pull it out of a basket, you can win. Check it in out down at Rod and Rifle down there. And I tell you what, you might. Brenda won $25 last year, but so hey, let's go fishing. All right, we get out there across the lake. We come across these wood ducks. They're all sitting there on the post. I don't know if he's waiting on a female or what, but these are some of the prettiest ducks I think that are out there flying. I mean, look at the colors on these guys. They are absolutely beautiful. Hey, let's go fishing. Look at Brenda with this big old bluegill. All right, you know how Uncle Dave does it. You know, we set that. We got with this year. We're using chicken hair jigs again. We're tipping it with waxworm some days we weren't. We're just catching these big old bluegill. We're catching big old crappie. And I mean, look at this bluegill here. You know, the weather was cold. You can see we're all bundled up the first week. But I tell you what, these crappie and these bluegill, if you could find them, they were biting. And look at this guy here. He was so black. It was like he was painted, just painted those colors. But the white crappie there, see there's a little chicken hair jig, and I didn't have any bait on there at all that day. Brenda's with the bluegill. Some days she was tipping with a red worm, some days not, some days wax worms, and some days with a minnow. We came across these geese, and these little guys, like I said, it was cold, and they're all up there piled up together. It was so cute. But I tell you what, like you said, if you found these fish, look at these guys. We got 12-inch crappie here. We got 10-inch bluegill. Of course, hey, look at that bass. Look at the sticking out of his mouth. Little chicken hair jig sitting down about a foot and a half. You know, you see these cranes and stuff, he's sitting on a log out there. You find those guys, look, you'll find these fish not too far away. All right, but the place is absolutely beautiful. Like I said, we're up there. It's May. It's the 16th through what it was, the 19th or so. It's actually my birthday week. But we found these big old bluegill. They're sitting there. We're sitting usually in about 6 foot of water or so, picking these fish up on the way back to the boat. All right, Uncle Dave fans. Here we are out here. It's May 19th. It's my birthday. I'm 65 years old today. Me and Amber out here fishing. It's about 47, 48 degrees. It got cold on us, but we're out here and look at there. What a nice bass. Right over there next to that dock, she tossed that little chicken hair jig tipped with, she's got a little bit of night crawler on there today. And bobber sit down about 2 foot. We're throwing up close to those docks and stuff, and we're still picking them up. Nice bass, Aunt Brenda. Good job. Good job, Aunt Brenda. Another nice bass. And I'm Miss Stokes. She didn't have a night crawler on. She had a red worm on that one. But like I said, hey, I'm 65 years old. Hey, show me my discounts. Anyway, this is the jig we were using. They come in different sizes. They come in different colors. We was using the 32nd ounce. They have a 64 ounce and they have one that's a little bit heavier. But this is coming. We had used pinks, yellows, blues, purples. But this is our favorite jig for those crappie and bluegill. All right, Uncle Dave fans, here we are again. Yep, sitting here just with the. Yep, Brenda's got it going on here. We got really show you what we're going on. She's got a chicken hair jig there today, and she's tipping it with a wax worm. And we got a bobber on, and she's fishing about 2 foot deep or so, I'd say it is. And we're in a little kind of protected cove. It's been a little bit windy and cold, but we're back here fishing for these bluegill and crappie. And so you just throw it up in there, you know, and the boat's sitting here, and we're sitting in 6 foot of water, and we're throwing up there on the bank and working it back to us. And as it comes back through there, a lot of times when it hits the water, they'll take off with it. If not, sometimes you'll find them, you know, somewhere between here and the boat. But just take your time, work out these little areas. And of course, there's a duck, the mallard, and this girl's gonna pop in there. But that's how we do it up here in Wisconsin, Chetek Lake. And we're on Prairie Lake today. I say just be patient and wait for that little jig to sit down. And I tell you what, these crappie were more than happy to hit it. These bluegill were more than happy to hit it. And Brendan was in the back of the boat fishing. I'm in the front of the boat fishing. She's got one color jig and I got one color jig. And I messed around. I got hung up on this stump. So we went over to get my lure back. And look what we found. There's a nice little painted rock on there. We thought it was really cute. So we want to shout out to KW 2025. They put it on there. And we happened to find it. So it came to a good home. Hey, we're fishermen and we love getting that little fish. But look at there. Another little bass. That's another chicken hair jig. But I tell you what, we had a great time. All right, Uncle Dave fans, here we go. Hard day of fishing, but hey, we got her done. We got some good victuals to take home with us. So I'm getting ready to get busy and start cleaning these dudes for the trip home. All right. That's good how it goes with Uncle Dave. They have chicken hair jigs, and Brenda with that chicken hair jig tipped with those minnows. And well, actually today was red worms and a couple of night crawlers. No minnows today, so but we did pretty good. It must be in Minnesota. I heard the loon. Man, what a beautiful, peaceful moment. All right, back to fishing. There's another Brenda with another one of those, wasn't that bass. Look, the same color. Little, she was using orange that day. Caught a bass, caught a crappie. Here's Uncle Dave with a couple of crappie. See behind us, there's a little bog there. That's where we was fishing. All right, here we are. Back at it. It's getting a little bit later in the day. All right, Brenda's got that bobber out there again. We're not fishing quite as deep as we was earlier. We moved. And we're not fishing quite as deep of water. We're sitting in about 5 foot of water, and we're fishing up in about 3 foot of water right now. And the bluegill and the crappie are up here on these beds. Well, starting to make beds. A lot of these bluegill we're catching here are pregnant, and they're really heavy. So we're putting most of them back. We're getting a few males here we're keeping. But just throw it out there, same as always. You know, let that bobber sit down and just wait till it stands up for a minute. Move it a little bit. Wait till it stands up again. Let it sit. There it goes. She had a little bite there. Sometimes they'll just nibble it. Sometimes they'll go ahead and just slam it. But today's been a just different day. We've had them do both. It'll just all of a sudden take off and go running sideways. And other times they'll just bob a time or two and then go down. But every day is a little bit different out here on the lake. I said we're in Chetek, Wisconsin, on Prairie Lake today again. But yeah, we throw it out there and work it back. Again, we're fishing, you can see the area we're in. There's a part of a little bog right there, but it's kind of landlocked. It doesn't go anywhere, but you can still get fish up underneath there on the side of it. Okay, so and then of course, they hang out here around it. They're Brenda readjusting throughout again. But yeah, just be patient with those little jigs. Just keep working it nice and slow over these little weed beds and whatnot. And just you be surprised what you catch. Brenda caught a shad today. We've caught largemouth bass today, bluegill of course, and we've caught a lot of crappie today. So we're having another good day here in Wisconsin. And a shout out to all we've ran into a few people that have actually watched our shows, on YouTube. So that's wonderful to meet those guys. And we gave them some tips of what we're doing up here. So, and I see a few of them are taking it in. They were up along the banks doing the same thing we are. So, shout out to Dale. Yep, shout out to Dale. Yep, yeah, he was here. He's fishing right up here with us this week. And they brought home a nice batch of them the other day. But yeah, they're actually using little mighty mites underneath the bobber. But the same thing we are. You're looking for these bedded, fish that's coming in. And the ones that are active, they'll hit it, they'll just be patient, float it around, and you'll be on some fish. Of course, as soon as I put down the camera, Brenda brings in this big old bluegill here. And when I had the camera down, I went ahead and brought in a couple of them bluegill myself. What a good time up there in Chetek. Hey, look at there. Came right over to say hello. There goes his pod race. Yep. All right. Tell you what, you just never know what you're going to see up here when you're up here fishing with Uncle Dave. All right, there they go. Hey, from Chetek, Wisconsin. Yeah, the big northern pike kind of eluded us on this trip, but I'll tell you what, we'll be back. We'll be back. But the bass, I tell you what, we hammered them. We had a great time catching these largemouth. All right, I'll tell you, fans, look at there. Watched a big old American bald eagle fly right up there in that tree, and he got him a fish in his foot. Well, he's up there chowing down. So there we go. Like I said, you just got to watch out. You never know what you're going to see out here in God's great outdoors. Watch him go to work on that fish. I don't know what he's got up there, but he's got him something he's really liking. All right, hey fans. I said you never know. Keep an eye out. Get out here. All right, Uncle Dave fans, welcome back to the action. Here we are. We're up on Prairie Lake, and we're here on the Chetek chain. And we are, you see here, we're sitting here next to a bog. You can see the bog here. And we've got still got our chicken hair jigs on, and we're tipping them with wax worms today. And we're sitting here fishing in about 4 and 5 foot of water. Yeah. And like I said, we got this bog here. And we're just got a dark, bright, sunshiny day. And we're just working that back we throw out by the bog there, and we'll just watch that bobber and work it back. So we got those real light jigs on. It just takes a little while to settle. But while we're working on it there, and we just keep an eye on that bobber. And we found a pretty good pocket of fish here. And but it's just a beautiful day. We're kind of got out of the wind here. And we're just waiting for that bobber to go down. All right, here we go. Another cast, throw it in there pretty close to those bogs there. Whoops, got tangled up a little bit. Yeah, you gotta watch your line, especially using those light rods and those light line. It can get tangled up on you pretty easy, especially when we got a little breeze like we got today. You can see the wind is blowing. But there we go. She gets it out there and lets it sit there for a second. And be patient. It takes a long time for that little 1/32 ounce chicken hair jig to get down to the, to drop 3 feet. So just wait till it gets down there. When your bobber stands up, now you know your jig is straight down below your bobber. You know it's not hung on a weed because your bobber's standing up. And anytime that bobber, now when it's standing up like that, if that bobber raises up, or of course if it goes down, you know you got a fish. But as long as it's hanging straight, you know you're good. You're right below the bobber. There's a bite. There it goes. All right, there, Brenda put the hook on him. Yep. Here he comes. I don't know where he goes. I tell you what, these bluegill are a blast to catch. They just pull. And that's a decent size one too. Looks like it's probably a big old pregnant female. Yeah, there we go. Nice fish, Aunt Brenda. Yep, it's sure enough a pregnant female. Yep. Yeah. We'll get her unhooked and get her back in there and let her make some more of them. But that's how we do it. I said, just like that. Yep, see her back. There she goes. We'll make it some more. But like I said, we got the bobber. We see there's little chicken hair jig. She's got a white one with the black feathers. And we're tipping that with just a little bit of a wax worm. Put a wax worm on there. And then we got it set down here. Looks like about 3 feet today. We're doing out here. See, I'll show you here. It's just probably, that's about 3 feet. And then like I said, we'll throw it over in there close to the bog and repeat the process, repeat the process, repeat the process. And that's how we do her. All right, one more time here. Brenda's going to throw it out there close to that bog over there to hit the water. We're going to let that be patient and let that little jig sink all the way to where your bobber stands up. There it goes. There goes a bite. Right, just like that. A lot of times when that bobber stands up, it goes right on down. So, okay, there we go. I tell you what, Uncle Dave fans, that's a perfect example on how to fish Uncle Dave style. Looks like it's another bluegill. It's another nice big bluegill. These are such fun to catch. I'm telling you, we have a great time out here. And look at that, it's another nice pregnant female, but look at the size of these things. These are so much fun to catch. Get out here, get you some of them little chicken hair jigs. Get you some of these little thill bobbers that we got going on here. These little guys, they work great. They're good for the little small jigs we're using, and it works out really good. All right, Uncle Dave fans, that's how we do it. And we are Chetek, Wisconsin, fishing Prairie Lake. What a beautiful place, and look at these fish. I tell you what, those little chicken hair jigs on that light line with those little thill bobbers, and just tip it with a wax worm, sometimes a minnow, sometimes with nothing. But look at that there. I mean, my goodness sakes, we were hammering these fish. All right, Uncle Dave fan, this here finishes up our limit for our bluegill and our crappie. We keep a very close count on these. The limits are very clear, you know, so make sure you keep count. A lot of people ask me, Dave, what do you do with all the fish? We take pictures of fish. Anything that's over 10 inches, you know, we make sure that goes back in the water. Most of the big old females go back in the water. But, you know, we love catching fish. We love taking pictures of these fish, showing you guys what we're getting. But we watch the limits. We only take our limit. We don't exceed it. There's no need to, okay? Watch the limits, stay within the limits, go out and have a good time, and just enjoy what God's given us in the great outdoors. Look at the size of that turtle. Look at his back. Oh my gosh. That is incredible. Look at the size of that turtle. I'm telling you, man, it's huge. Look at its head. Its head's bigger than your fist. Look at that guy. He don't look like he's too worried about it. It looks like a giant snapping turtle. My gosh, it is huge. I don't know, boys and girls. I'm not wading. I'm not wading in this water. Good Lord. That is one gigantic turtle right there. There he goes. Hey, good film work on that big old turtle, Brenda. And hey, that's a nice bluegill you got there. All right, Uncle Dave fans, sitting here on a bog, and look at this girl here. Oh my God, we haven't got her measured or weighed yet, but I'm telling you what, that right there is what you come to Wisconsin to catch right there. Chetek Lake, we're up here on Prairie Lake again today. We're fishing these fish in we're sitting in 6 foot of water, as usual when we're up here. We're fishing back toward the bogs. And we're sitting down about 1.5 foot, 2 foot. Well, actually over here we're sitting down about 3 foot. But I just got the little, I'm using the bright pink today. Here, you can see, there's the bright pink I'm using, and that's the size I'm using. I had a wax worm tipped on there. So, okay, we're going to get her measured up and weighed up. We're going to get her back in there. All right, this could be you. Come on up here now. Okay, Uncle Dave fans, look at there. 9.90, almost a pound. Almost a pound for this girl here. And she's right at 10 inches long. So we're going to get her unhooked here, and we're going to get her back in there and let her make a bunch more of these big babies. All right, say goodbye to another monster. All right, Uncle Dave fans, there you go. All right, get out here. All right, Uncle Dave fans, I'm hoping you get out and take a look at the Mother Nature that's around us. I'm telling you what, we live in a beautiful place. Shout out to these guys right here. Look, they got C-clamps on this thing. They got some floats on there, and I'll tell you what, look at the smiles on their face. They are headed out fishing, and they don't care. All right, there's eagles all over the place. If you get a chance to go to Chetek Chain, get up there, have some fun. Just enjoy some time on the water, some time out, catch you a fish or two. You know, there's a lot of eagles there because there's a lot of fish there. All right, so hey, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Hey, I was glad to see some people out there watch the show. And as always, God bless you. God bless our troops. Hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you out there on the water.